Good evening. Hello. This is a test. Shush. This is a test. Just seeing if I can keep broadcasting. I believe I was shut down the other night. I don't know if I still am going to be shut down. I don't really have a clue. So far everything's looking clear over here. I'm just going to work with the stage, that's all tonight. Okay, it's just a very short video just to keep everybody updated. So, as you know, I don't know if you know it or not, but there's an awful lot going on right now. I've been very concerned, very excited, very disturbed, very, shocked. Enlightened by all the events recently, and I'm very scared to mention certain names or events. But there's a couple of really big characters. One of the initials is DT over there. Okay. And I personally see this character as a kind of a historical figure, and it's happening live in real time, and it's all coincided, of course, as you know, with my concepts and feelings and opinions and beliefs about how the astrology works, the Pluto return, 1776 revisited, all these things that are happening in the United States right now that seem to confound any sort of intelligence, any sort of integrity. Well, there's a lot of repeated patterns here from yesterday. This is yesterday's chart, okay? And what you'll notice is that this aspect here was very, very extreme. These are very extreme. We talked about these already. And they relate to like fraudulent activity and some of the things we do here in the United States where we elect our leaders. And in my perception, the whole of the United States is being upended right now, and it's kind of grotesque what I'm witnessing. As bad as I know it is, and as bad as I know it was, and I predicted and estimated, it's even far worse than I imagined. And that's kind of what is very disturbing for me. The beautiful thing about it, of course, is everything is exactly as it should be. And why is that so? Because it can't be any other way. We have a 3-year journey ahead of us before we get to the actual Pluto return of the United States, which I believe is going to be a pivotal turning point in history. Okay? Let me put in a few colors here. Thank you, Path. I know you're there. I'm pretty sure I saw your name in the chat. Give me a second. Hello. Yes, Path Traveler is here. And I'm sorry to say, Path, I'm going to still be using a fair bit of red marker. And it's not quite so severe tonight, but it's just, let's say, just different. I'm going to try and keep it really basic. We still have extreme hyper stresses between the Aquarian and the Taurus energy over here. It's multiplied many times because we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury all very, very tightly packed up together. In fact, tonight, here in the United States, if you are in the right location, the right place at the right time with the right weather, you will be able to see another very rare kind of conjunction where you will see Jupiter, Saturn, and Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury sitting very, very, very close together in the night sky. They're all piled up in the Aquarian degrees, okay? Here. Actually, I forgot to mark in Mercury. Mercury's already over here. But can you see this huge, huge cluster of planets all over in one sector? That puts a lot of pressure on the solar system itself. Like there's a, when you have, when you were a child, did you have one of those little tops, spinning tops? You put it on a string and it spins around, and then you can put it on a table and it will just balance there in this beautiful position where it just seems to stand up all on its own, defying gravity, okay? And what's happening right now with these extreme polarizations of planets all to one side, imagine this is the planet Earth here, and the planet Earth is vibrating and circulating and orbiting just like it always does. And there's like an orbital axis, if you can imagine. Actually, let me just do a little tiny illustration here. I'll show you. The things that I'm talking about, I'm sure you've seen them. It's like a little spinning top thing. They typically have a rotating arm down the middle. And then they have a frame around the outside. And this part here is made out of a heavy piece of metal that looks like a disc. This part here looks like a metal disc, and then you have a little piece of string that you can tie around here and here, and you put it on the table. You pull the string really hard and really fast, and it gets this thing to spin very, very fast, and it creates its own gravitational field. And so what can happen is when it's very strong and it's very fresh and the surface is pretty flat, this thing will correct itself and put itself exactly vertical towards the surface on which it's sitting. Okay? However, right now, there's a huge planetary influence off to one side, and my feeling is that it's putting a lot of pressure on this gravitational axis around which the Earth is spinning. And even though we probably wouldn't be able to detect it, we might be able to feel it in our souls, where if you think of this as planet Earth, we're being squeezed over to one side. Okay? And that's very unnatural for a gyroscope. I'm going to put that word here. It's a very old-fashioned toy, gyroscope. And like I just said, the gyroscope is designed to set itself perfectly vertical relative to gravity. Okay? Thank you, Path. Okay? And what's happening right now is we have this intense gravitational pull over here, which is acting on planet Earth as though it's trying to tilt the gyroscope sideways. And the gyroscope doesn't want to do that. Its natural position would be absolutely vertical like this, okay? And everything would be very sublime. And it's spinning very fast. You wouldn't even know it's spinning. It's just like what they have when they create artificial gravity in outer space on the International Space Station. It's based on this concept. However, there's enough pressure out there in the solar system to try and squeeze this thing off to the side so it looks more like this. I doubt whether it can be measured, but that's what I'm trying to describe here. And it takes incredible pressure to turn that off to its side. The reason I know that is because I played with these toys a lot when I was a kid. And I even took it to an extreme where I took a bicycle wheel, okay? I took a bicycle wheel off of my bicycle. And I looked at it and it looked like this, and there's the axis and a hub through the middle. And there's the spokes on the side, okay? And I was so fascinated by this phenomenon that what I did as a child, I took the wheel from the bicycle and pretend I'm standing up and you're looking down on top of me from above, and I'm holding the wheel here with my paws, and there's me and there's my hat, okay? And what I did was I set this wheel spinning really, really fast, as fast as I could, by running and holding it onto the ground while I was running until I couldn't take it anymore. And then I would stand up vertically and I would hold the wheel like this. And what I found was what I imagined would happen. If I'm holding onto this axis here like this, and I try to turn it like this, or like this, it's actually extremely hard to do that. It takes a huge amount of strength just to turn it a tiny degree, especially if it's a very big wheel and it's moving very fast and it's very heavy. It takes intense pressure to move it just a fraction. So that's what's happening right now. We're under a lot of pressure because all of this is the equivalent of magnetic gravitational pressure that is trying to push our natural center of gravity off to the side. And because we are a spinning entity over here, planet Earth, it will resist. So it will resist extremely powerfully because this thing here, planet Earth, is very big. And it's really just not going to just shift around just because the planets are juggling. But real powerful scientists would be able to measure this shift in microscopic ways. Hold on, guess what I found? Look, beer. Oh. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Gregory. Hello, Casey. Hello, Path. I think Love Triber's there too. I think I saw Love Triber. Yes, I did. And there's Melissa. Hi, Melissa. And I saw Diana. Yes, hello. And I saw Ivona and Journey Seeker and Sarah. Hello, hello. I don't know if I've missed anybody. I think I got everybody. Thank you for showing up. I'm just doing a test to see if I don't want to even say the words where it doesn't work anymore. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this as one red line for now, okay? But this red line here is very extreme. It's very powerful. We've got Mars conjunct Uranus, okay? That's very, very destabilizing, highly volatile energy facing off with on a hard square, okay? Astrologically, it's called a hard square. It's a 90-degree angle with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury in Aquarius. Okay, so it's like having one. It's just like Mercury has two squares, Jupiter has two squares, Saturn has two squares. Okay, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and then in turn, Uranus has 3 squares, 8, 9, 10, 11, and Mars has 3 squares, 12, 13, 14. So that's like a square multiplied by 14, okay? It's very intense pressure. It's highly volatile. It's very unstable. It's very destabilizing, and especially with Uranus, because Uranus is the most powerful component of this axis here. And this is the energy of radical destabilization and shaking up of the unshakable. The unshakable things on planet Earth are now being shaken up. That includes tectonic plates, volcanoes, weather, earthquakes. In this time of year in North America, it's probably things like the cold weather and bizarre weather patterns. But also includes the global financial system. And it's facing off very, very harshly with the energy of Aquarius, which is all about what works for we the people. as opposed to the status quo in the institutions. Okay, so over here we have the component that represents the status quo in the institutions. On the bright side, the sweet side of all this energy based around Pluto, we have Pluto, Sun, Moon, and Venus, all of them piled up here in Capricorn. So that's an incredibly powerful stellium. And it's actually very comfortable with the, give me a second, with this Taurus energy over here, but it's very spread out. So I'm not going to put, I'll put a little bit of green in there. I'll put a little bit of the sextiles, okay, too, with Mercury. Sorry. So I guess I should just do it. I'm just going to make it a thick, big, fat pile of red over here, okay? And this is going to be a constant theme throughout 2021, okay? A lot of instability, a lot of destabilization, a lot of extreme pressure to put the status quo off of its axis and try to upend this whole thing, which has been spinning fairly comfortably for about 250 years. This is now getting shaken up and put on its side. And this character over here, if you recognize those initials, that's very much to do with the human experience as we see it here on Earth. Because right now, here on Earth, it basically, we're talking about DT and all the so-called, I'm not even going to dare to say the word, but DT plus, I'm going to write it in here, PATRIOTS, okay? It's a particular small group of world population that have coalesced together around the destabilization and the, let's say, exposing the fragilities and the things that are very unhealthy in the status quo over here. We have a lot of harmony over here between all this Earth and the Pisces. So I'll just add that. Okay, it's quite harmonious. And we have, this is just one aspect here. It's literally Neptune in hard aspect to the North Node. We've talked about this many times. But this is the aspect of, again, I've spelt this one out before, F-R-A-U-D, okay? And that, so I'm going to, let me show if I can see if I can show you. F-R-A-U-D, deception, betrayal, lies, deceit, very, very deep, cancerous type of sickness type of energy. Neptune is in the 12th house of hidden enemies, and it's being heavily lit up by the North Node. Our North Node over here for planet Earth is telling us we need to have simple facts, truth, information, and clarity that works for the whole planet. The problem is that doesn't work for the status quo, who basically own and operate everything. You know, we've talked about them before. Sometimes we call them the, I'll use another word over here, E-L-I-T-E-S, okay? Those folks over here, which include these folks, I'm just going to use initials, N-W-O-I-M-F, B-I-S, USFED dollars, and US Fed GOVT, WEF. If you need to, you can contact me directly at A Little Book About, and I will explain all this to you in person. But I'm being very, very careful, okay? WEF and the, anyway, there's a whole bunch more. This is just the biggest, most obvious components of these folks, the L-I-T-E-S folks. And they are very, very interested in growing and maintaining the status quo over here into a form of massive global world domination on a scale that you have never seen before. Not even close. And it's happening right now. And what we're seeing, this is the beginning of our 3-year journey into the Pluto return at the end of 2023, okay? So however freakish it is right now, believe me, we've got another almost 4 years to go before we start to see all this stuff really come to the surface and to see how truly decayed things have become over here. So what's happening is the good aspect. Remember, this is just energy, and it's a question of how we interpret it. This is an extremely powerful energy field over here. The loving side of it is the reality check police that is bringing everything that is very, very abusive about the power of the powers that be. All of that, all of this is being exposed on a world scale, and how incredibly ELIT it is. Because these folks, as you know, they're very, very self-serving, and they live their lives at the expense of we the people over here. They basically, on the shadow side of this energy, these are the folks who want to maintain the status quo of absolute totalitarian control, okay? So, how can I explain this without getting my channel into trouble? It's very, very hard for me to do this stuff anymore. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing, it depends on you and your perspective. I'm very deeply aware of this, and I see it and I feel it in the tiniest nuances and shifts and changes of energy, okay? But a lot of people across Earth are completely oblivious to what's happening. They're not really concerned. It's just another day. That's understandable. But with this massive, massive quincunx here, humanity is being forced, heavily pressured to understand itself. Okay? We the people need to understand ourselves, how we have allowed ourselves to become, what's the word, infected, corrupted, betrayed, undermined by people who do not have your best interests at stake. You could make it very, very simple. You could say, in essence, that you have we, the P-E-O-P-L-E, who are being farmed, okay, in the form of, let me just put this out here. Cows and cows. Okay. We the people, we're being farmed. We're being farmed in different ways. In the United States, we primarily have this model here. We've talked about this many times. Over here in this other place called CHINA, they have a different model. They use these things, SLAVE, CAMPS. They're different mechanisms for essentially doing the same thing. It's extracting value out of we the PEOPLE. And that's usually measured in terms of MONEY and POWER. And all of this, okay, this is the farm. This is the farm. This is one version of the farm. It's very common. It's used all over the world. Here's another inversion of the farm. It's being imposed all over the world right now. And all of this is owned and operated by the ELITES. And they want it to stay that way. This is just a tiny number of people, maybe a few 100,000 people. I don't know. Let's just say it's 100,000. 100,000. And over here we have, what about 7.4 billion. So really, it's just like what they do when they do skimming operations in banks. I know how these happen because my mother was skimmed. A lot of people in the banking financial world have these skimming algorithms which take your money and you can't see it. It's tiny, tiny, tiny amounts from billions of people. Sometimes the skimming is basically, the farming is basically how we take all the energy from here. Let me put it in blue. So all the energy from here is fed into here. Okay? And it's all done in this kind of business model, which is like farming. It's literally like farming. It's really no different from a factory chicken farm of cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, sheep, and seafood. It's the same business model, okay? Also corporate farming. It's the same thing. And that all goes into the elites, the power. You could also include up here, you could include the, the stock markets, okay? And the corporations. Okay? All of that stuff here, I could even put a line. I could just put a line here like this. If this makes any sense. They get all their money and power, and that's how they get their rocks off, by farming the rest of us. And they have developed this into an incredibly efficient and effective machine, and it started most vividly in 1913. And it's now proven that it works extremely well for these folks, and they're trying to take it to the next level. Okay? It's happening right now. And this is kind of where we are today. Okay? Right here, right now. One of the problems that these ELITES are having over here is that there are a few of us over here in this department here, we the people, who figured out their schemes. And there's enough people, okay, let's put it this way. This is just like maybe what, like 100,000 people across the world who are involved in all of this stuff. And over in the United States, we have that fellow I mentioned here, DT, plus about 80 million, let's see, PATRIOTS, okay? They figured it out, and they're being very vocal about it. They're saying, like, you know, enough is enough. We don't want this anymore. We, the people, don't want this anymore. We do not want to be either in a slave camp or a debt cow, here or here. We don't want any of this for any of these people. It's disgusting. It's evil. Your plan is up. You have been outed. And it has become very, very obvious. In the United States, everyone is watching the United States right now, as you know. Everyone is watching the United States right now because what's happening here is going to affect the whole of the rest of planet Earth. This is the place where they operate the slave camps. This is the place where they operate the debt farm. They're both trying to compete with each other. These folks over here have figured out a way to take control and operation over here. So right now, at this moment in time, at this very, very moment in time, this is the only remaining place on Earth that had a chance of standing up against this. And according to what happened on January the 6th, 2021, we the people lost. And it's game over. It's the end game, okay? I'm trying to talk in very kind of nebulous ways so I don't get the show shut down. And so what's happening ever since January the 6th, okay, there has been chaos over here. A lot of that is because we the people over here, okay, that's we the people, that's this group of people over here. There's only about 80 million people in this little cluster, and they all live in here. They're scattered across America, mostly in the central areas, but not here and not over here. All these places here and here have already sold out. They've already sold out to these folks here because they can see a way for themselves to personally benefit. Because all the people who sold out over here and here, the big corporations, they want to be part of this. And they can see how it works for them. And for that to happen, they have to destroy this. That's what they're trying to do, and they've done a very, very, very good job. They have effectively destroyed this thing, this beautiful thing that we have here. And this thing is literally on its deathbed right now. But it's not dead yet. And so what I think is happening over the next 4 years is we're going to see a very turbulent time in history. I see it as an X-shaped energy. All this stuff here, that's cat hair. As an X-shaped energy. This energy over here representing the downfall, the decimation, the collapse of the status quo, and let's say the elites, and at the same time the birth of a new egalitarian way of living that works for humanity. And this thing is happening simultaneously, okay? There's a big X in the middle of it all. It's the death of the old and the birth of the new, and it's happening simultaneously, okay? And you're going to see that play out over the next 4 years, and I'm trying to keep you guys ahead of it so that you don't become a victim, okay? So that you don't become a victim. Now, if you want to, you can join these folks over here, but please don't come to my channel. I live over here. This is my little world. I choose to align myself with these folks over here because these folks believe in the things that we've talked about earlier. We've talked about it many, many times. We hold this to be dear. Okay? We hold and understand that there is another power above and beyond our own ego, our own mania, our own desire, our own lust for power. And we bring that energy. Some people call it God, G-O-D. And we bring that into our lives and our world and the way we live. Over here, this is a godless world. This is a beautiful, beautiful, powerful, very seductive, attractive way of living. But it's like it doesn't really have a soul. It feeds on the souls of these folks over here. Now, interestingly enough, all these folks over here have friends and families. Okay, these folks over here, let me get it clear. These folks over here live here. But there are millions, hundreds of millions of other people who feel the same way as these folks, but they live in other places that's not here. And all these folks who are used to being dependent on the United States to be the last bastion of freedom, they are now pooping themselves because this is going down. This is going down. It is in a death spiral. And that's the pathway to rebirth. So all I'm saying is please prepare yourself. Okay? Please prepare yourself. Understand what's happening. If you're one of these folks, the chances are that you are not in alignment with this channel. I'm going to add some other ones. I'm going to write their names here, but I'm not going to say them, okay? You know these, okay? What was the other one? Those are the big ones. There's also this one. These are the big players. Okay? These folks are very, 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 very big. Very, very powerful. And they are all aligned together. That's how they make their living. Okay? They make their living by farming we the people, okay? And it's measured in terms of money, okay? And it goes to these folks here and these folks here, and they are having an absolute blast right now. It's total party time for these people, and it's like an orgy of delight as they are realizing, oh my God, we did it. We freaking did it, people. We destroyed this. We destroyed this. Okay? We, these folks over here, the ELITES, destroyed we the people. This is we the people. But the thing is, just as much as we the people believe that we're being defrauded and cheated and betrayed by these folks who are telling us a bunch of lies, we are also very much aware of that. Okay? These folks here are doing everything they can outside of murder to kill us off. Okay? These are the only remaining people on planet Earth who are standing up to this. And right now, at this very moment in time, these folks here have been completely disempowered, disenfranchised, betrayed, lied to, deceived, and basically killed off. And you can see that in what's happening in the election phenomena that happened here recently. Now, of course, some of you are also going to realize that we're not dead yet. Okay? We're not dead yet. Path Traveler's putting some very interesting notes up there. I don't want to talk much more tonight. I just want to bring this to your awareness, everybody. The moon tonight, right now, is over here in Capricorn. And we're heading into a new moon, okay? It's a Capricorn new moon. This is a very powerful alignment, okay? It's about the reality check police. The reality check police works both ways. Like, who are you? What do you believe? What is your truth? What is your reality? What is your reality? There are millions and millions of people over here who believe the illusion. They actually believe in the illusion that is perpetrated upon them. And they believe that everything that's bad that's happening on planet Earth right now is because of this person here and these people here. These people, we the people. So that's how extreme it is. That's how bizarre it is. That's how disoriented we are. Humanity is really under intense pressure right now to figure out, who are we? What are we doing? And like this person said, okay, there's no point in trying to tell everybody. There's no point in these folks trying to tell these folks or these folks that these folks are not your friends. You have to show it. You have to actually show it so you can witness and you can see the degree of depravity, corruption, betrayal, lies, deception. You have to actually see it. It's like what they do when they tell you how to write movies. I was in movie business for years. One of the core themes about the movie business and storytelling in general, because you're using pictures and images, is show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. In other words, you tell the story by showing things that happen and how they happen. You don't see cowboys and bad guys going, hey, I recognize you. You're a bad guy. I am in a movie. I am going to shoot you because you're bad. You did bad things. And then the bad guy goes, oh, well, you're portraying yourself as a good person, and you're the good person, and you're the enemy of me, the bad person. So I'm going to shoot you. And you don't put that in the dialogue. What you do is this. Ow, 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 ow. And you show it. It's just like watching the movie Braveheart, okay? Anyway, personally, I'm just letting you know tonight, this is just a little test video. It seems like it's still alive. It has not been shut down. So that's very encouraging, at least for now. But it's very, very hard for me to communicate with people this way anymore. It's extremely hard because it only goes out to a very tiny number of people, and I want to share it with as many people as possible, and I can't do that much anymore. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But right now, because we're at the very tippy end of a lunar cycle, okay, it took 28 days for the moon in Capricorn to come back here again. So the moon, basically tomorrow, the moon is already going to be over here, okay? So typically for myself, personally, what happens at these times, every month, like clockwork, I get very, very kind of tender, a little bit weepy, frightened, fragile, very insular, and very, very private for the 2 or 3 days before the new moon, and typically for 1 or 2 days after the new moon, until the energy picks up again. It's just like a wave cycle. So I'm hoping I can see you guys tomorrow. I'll probably do something very similar to what I did right now, because I'm not very confident on camera right now. So I'm just doing the astrodoodles and a little bit of an illustration to keep the storyline going, to hopefully keep you in an optimistic state of mind, to understand that despite this intense pressure, despite the extreme distortions happening between here and here, despite the extreme fraud and exploitation, violence and depravity that's happening over here with a few 100,000 people relative to a bunch of us who are just trying to stay alive and work in a simple, honest world that is all about we the people, the show is not over, okay? The show is not over. Just because this person here has been decimated, crushed, especially by his own people. The degree of betrayal is astronomical. This person over here, who I believe is a historical figure sent to be the personification of the difference between this world and that world, somebody had to stand up to these people. This person stood up to these people. These people have gazillions more numbers and more power and more money than this person. These folks over here outnumber these people, okay, in terms of power and money, okay? But we're not dead yet. I align myself with here. And even if I ever make a lot of money one day for whatever reason, I'll still be over here. I'll be supporting these folks here some way, somehow. So we're not dead yet. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. It's been wonderful hanging out with you guys. And I think I've said enough just for now. You know, sometimes we do shows that go on for 3 or 4 hours, and I do all these private readings. If anybody does want a personal consultation, of course you can do that. Let me just see if I can get you connected in case you're not too familiar. Let me see if I can do that. What happens is, if anybody needs to deal with this stuff directly, how this works in your life, you can come visit over here. Sorry, it's a bit out of alignment, but you go to terrorlumination.com and then you will find the donate page, or you can book a reading and so on and so on. Okay? So, let me get back over here. Interesting. Thank you, Path Traveler, about GoDaddy. GoDaddy is an actual domain name provider. Please expect a lot of chaos, turbulence, confusion, okay, during this time. It's going to go on for most of the year. Please prepare for that, allow for that. So you're going to probably be hearing repeated themes regarding this energy over here. In the United States, a lot of that will feel like major disruption and betrayal and lies that have been exposed. And then what are we, the people, going to do about it? We don't know yet. Just because DT has been theoretically VOTED out of office, the show is not over. In fact, some people are saying that the show is only just beginning. And that's what I personally believe. What I think is happening here is that we have witnessed the implosion of this thing here on its deathbed. It is so heavily infected, diseased, crippled. It's as though the whole place has systemic candidiasis. If you don't know what that is, you can check that up through DuckDuckGo. It's an extremely debilitating, crippling, and ultimately deadly disease. But you don't know you have it until you're dead. And it's extremely hard to diagnose. Okay? But that's what we have here. Another equivalent way to look at it is if we have a very deep metastatic cancer that has permeated the whole of this. And we're only just realizing it now before it's too late. Or is it too late? We don't know yet. A lot of shifts and changes are going to happen over here in the next 3 to 4 years, especially starting right now. And what happens here is going to affect everything here. Okay? So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all soon, okay? Super duper. Yeah. Oh.